Au revoir. Okay, I'm rolling. Welcome to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I'm the host of the show. And this podcast is a little resource for dog owners and dog trainers and dog enthusiasts to learn more about what's going on in the Boston area. And when I'm not sitting with another trainer or handler, I do these little solo episodes, or I do episodes with my partner Laurie, where we do deep dives on specific topics, which in the next probably year or so is going to probably be the majority of these episodes, as I am just super busy and other trainers are really busy as well. Anyway, the topic of today's discussion is the catch. I'm going to talk about the catch specifically with regard to playing disc or frisbee with your dog. What I'm going to do is a couple of little mini episodes where I talk about all the different elements of the retrieve with regard to disc or frisbee, and hopefully break those skills down to give you something to think about when you're practicing with your dog. So before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to Jen Banks, who sat with me a few weeks ago. We had a great conversation. Jen is an awesome and intelligent dog trainer out in Princeton, Mass. Please give her social media pages at The Right Paw Obedience a follow. Keep up with what she's doing. Super talented person, and I was very grateful to get to meet her and her dog Moon Pie. Also wanted to say bettervet.com if you're interested in veterinary services. They offer mobile vet services. You can use the code FPB75 and save $75 on your first visit, and you can support the podcast. Additionally, I will be adding a link on the link tree of the podcast's bio on Instagram if you would like to leave us a tip. I have had a few people ask how they can donate to the podcast, and I don't have anything set up right now. So I am going to add that to the bio on Instagram at FPB Talks. If you've asked a question that we've answered, or you are so kind and would like to shoot us a couple dinero, we would gratefully accept it. I do not do this project for money. I do it for fun and to connect great people and to provide a resource for our clients. But, some of you have reached out asking how you can give to the project, and that's how you can do it. Okay, so this is a really broad topic. It's a big topic, and these episodes are going to be short because they're just meant to wet the whistle, right? A podcast is not going to be the best forum to learn skills. It's a good place to talk about concepts. So that's what we're going to do here. If you are interested in learning more about how to develop the game with your dog, I could not recommend Andrea Rigler enough. She has helped me out tremendously playing disc with my dog Ruben. She's helped me figure him out. She has helped me learn how to throw. And she has put together a really great little resource on teachable.com. I will link the webpage in the resources tab of the I have a resources highlights on Instagram, and I will also link it in this podcast description. Teachable.com, BFF Pet Services. Andrea Rigler has a course in that company's pet services and training page. Check it out. Okay, so first, when we talk about disc, we are talking about something very specific. So if you follow anybody on social media that plays disc with their dog, it looks very impressive. Dogs are jumping up and catching the discs out of the air, collecting points. Very impressive. But we have to think about the catch as being the crux. The catch is the crux. What the heck does that mean? Well, the catch is the only way in disc sports that your dog is going to accumulate points. So really, we have to kind of structure our training and our practice sessions based on making our catch ratio as high as possible. So the catch ratio is the number of throws versus the number of catches. And when we talk about a dog catching a disc, we are talking about a dog catching the disc while it is moving. That criteria alone is very high. So if we think about that criteria from our dog's perspective, our dog is running underneath a disc. They are somehow able to track exactly where that disc is in the air, regardless of the wind, regardless of noise going on around them. they are able to track the disc in the air and then at the exact precise moment, open their mouth to intercept the disc and catch it. It takes an amazing amount of coordination on your dogs, on the dog side. It's an absolutely amazing thing that our dogs can do. However, our dogs are probably not going to, I should say, naturally know how to do this when you start throwing the disc. We have to teach them how to catch. And there are two things that we can do in order to teach our dogs how to catch. Now, every dog is different, and some dogs are going to be really natural at catching. When we talk about breeds that are, historically good at playing disc, we talk about Border Collies, Malinois, Whippets, Australian Shepherds, Labs, Golden Retrievers, Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, German Shepherds, any mix of the above breeds that I just mentioned. But there are other dogs, like my dog Ruben, who is not a breed that is common when you see dogs that are playing disc, but he's really good at it and he enjoys it. He has his limitations, as do I, but he enjoys catching and retrieving the disc. However, if I had just gone out there once I realized that he was good at it and started throwing the disc, my catch ratio would have been so low that I would have run the risk of him finding something else interesting about that game aside from catching the disc with his mouth. And everything that we do when we're leading up to throwing and then our dog catching needs to encourage that catch ratio to be high. So there are two things that we can do before we start throwing that are going to increase our catch ratio. And those two things are the take and the roller. So the take is when we hold the disc in our hand and our dog takes it out of our hand. Super simple. So we want to kind of entice the dog with the disc in our hand, move the disc away from the dog. The dog grabs onto it with their full mouth, praise them, rah, rah, rah. Maybe play tug a little bit with the disc, depending on your dog. Topic for another conversation. And repeat. So your dog finds taking the disc with their mouth out of your hand rewarding. The other thing that we can do in order to increase our catch ratio is to throw rollers. So roller is going to be a lot easier for your dog to track and catch versus a throw. Well, what is a roller? A roller is when we take a dog disc and we roll it on its edge on the ground. And the technique that we need to use to throw a roller is just as important as the technique that we use to throw a regular old throw. And both the take and the roller are pivotal parts of increasing our catch ratio because they're easier than catching straight out of the air. So if you think of any skill, when we go on social media or watch professionals do it, we are looking at the end game. When you see a dog, catch a 70-yard throw jumping in the air and catching this disc, that is like the end game, right? When you see a dog doing a really complicated freestyle routine where the dog is vaulting off of the handler and the handler is throwing all kinds of crazy, difficult throws, and the dog is catching throws that are, blind to them, that the dog doesn't see where the throw originated. All of these skills are very complicated and take time to develop. But at the very bottom of the skill set is the catch. That's the only way we can accumulate points in disc sports. So you can have a dog that's really driven and really athletic and loves to retrieve, but if they don't like to actually catch the disc, you're never going to go anywhere in the sport. Now, if you just want to play fetch with your dog, that's totally cool. But moving into that sport conversation, how do I get involved in this sport? The catch is going to be the pivotal piece of that. And again, we start by doing takes and by doing rollers. I have found it's very frustrating for handlers to understand that they need to stay in this stage for a while until their dog really gets comfortable and confident catching rollers and catching takes. You can make takes more difficult by asking your dog to jump, by asking your dog to jump over something to take the disc. Both of these activities and both of these additions to the take exercise are going to make the activity more difficult, but will also build your dog's confidence to jump and grab that disc. Remember, it's an absolutely amazing thing that our dogs can do when they catch an actual throw. If you have to spend a lot of time building them up to that, that's okay. Take your time. Because if you blow it and your dog finds jumping in the air really rewarding, or batting the frisbee down with their paw and then retrieving it really rewarding, or if your dog finds bouncing the frisbee off of their nose to be really rewarding, they will do these things instead of catching the disc. And again, if you're looking to play sport with your dog, the catch is the crux. They have to be able to catch that thing in order to accumulate points. So when you're going through practicing and when you're going through learning and when you're going through structuring your practice, make sure that you're paying attention to your catch ratio. Now, different things are going to affect your catch ratio, which is, again, is the amount of times that you throw versus the amount of times that your dog catches. And I'll give you an example. So last week, Ruben and I played toss and fetch, and it was extremely windy. Okay, it was practically unbearable. And we really struggled. So I got off 9 throws in 2 rounds, 2 1-minute rounds, and Ruben caught 4 of the 9 throws. So its catch ratio was under 50%. If this catch ratio was this low in an actual practice session, I would do one of 2 things. I would not play anymore, or I would start throwing rollers so that he could be successful, and I would end the game practically as fast as I started it. If it's really, really windy, I don't practice. If it's a little windy, I certainly will, because it can be a little windy and you still have to do competition. If it's so windy that you can't get off of a throw, and discs are not super stable discs, so they're very lightweight. There are certain discs that are better in the wind, but if it's like gale force winds, like it's just going to be difficult to play. There's no 2 ways about it. So if the catch ratio is that low in practice, I probably wouldn't practice, or I would give him opportunities to be super successful. If we look at the week prior to last week, I got off 12 throws. 2 of them were practice throws, and Ruben only missed 1 of them. So his ratio was over 90%, which is pretty darn good. So if I was just practicing and his catch ratio was that high, I would end on that high note, and I would kind of take a note. Okay, well, what was going right today? Were my throws really good? Is he well rested? Is there no wind? Is it a little cloudy? Is the sun not in his eyes? Is he just feeling really confident? And I want to be able to mimic that catch ratio every time I practice, so that every time he gets out of the car and plays, he's successful catching that thing with his mouth, because again, that is the way that in disc sports we accumulate points. Now, if you don't care about whether or not your dog can catch and you just want to get out there and play for fun, like that's totally 110% cool. And I have had a bunch of classes with people where at the end they're just kind of like, I just don't have the time to practice throwing. I don't have the time to develop these skills. I don't even really know what I'm doing. I just want to get out there and tire my dog out. And that's all fine. I would prefer that every one of my clients wanted to have this like beautiful cooperative game with their dog and work towards these goals. But I know that not everybody is going to want or have the ability to do that. But if you do have the want and the ability, and you have a dog that's interested and willing to catch a disc, this is the bottom line. We have to start encouraging that catch over everything else. Next time we talk, I'm going to talk about the throw, and we'll also talk about the retrieve and the handoff or the trade. But I hope this gives you something to think about as you're developing your game. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Please like, review, and share the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. It helps other people to have access to the podcast, and it just helps us get out there to as many listeners as we possibly can. So I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be coming at you next time with the throw.